The worst thing that I've ever been through in my life.
The John Doe in one civil suit has revealed himself as a Largo-based music producer and publicist.
You are now suing and also filed a criminal investigation on P. Diddy.
Correct.
His name is Jonathan Hay, who lives in Largo. He says he's known Diddy in passing since 1998.
What happened?
I had no idea that P. Diddy was going to show up and be there.
You're trying on clothes and just, whatever, and next thing you know, P. Diddy walks in.
I'm still like going through all these racks of clothes, and next thing you know, I thought that he was watching porn. That's when this got weird.
P. Diddy, he's been served your lawsuit.
He's been served, and he knows all about it.
How many Jonathan Hayes do you think are out there?
I think it's countless, man. He's a real piece of shit.
So standing by, Jonathan Hay. Jonathan, I've known a little bit about over the years, but not nearly as much as I've been reading the last couple of days. Wow, Jonathan, you have done way more than I really ever gave you credit for, my friend.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Born in Leesburg, Florida.
Yes, I was up until 6 months, and then I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky.
Right. So, and then I think I read where you were adopted or fostered, like you didn't even know your real parents, like up until fairly like 2015 or something.
That's correct. Yep. Through 23andMe, we did a DNA test, or that the whatever that 23andMe test
Right.
is, and I found out who they were, but I didn't meet my biological mother until 2017.
And so that's the woman that had you in Leesburg, right?
Correct.
And so a man and a woman had a kid in Leesburg, Florida, and then
Correct.
by 6 months they had adopted you or fostered you out to a new family in Louisville.
No, so what happened is back then the sealed adoptions in the 70s, it was a sealed adoption. So I was born December 16th, and my mother and my father, who've raised me, they got me on the 26th, 11 days later. And so they took me and they raised me in Louisville, Kentucky.
You're what you call your mother and father, but your biologicals were in Leesburg.
That's correct.
Correct. And then you go to your what you know as your mother and father to Louisville, and that's where you lived, I think, a long time. I mean, quite a while.
A long time, yeah. That's where I started my career.
And part of your upbringing was, I think your uncle was part of a real huge mega church up there.
Correct. Southeast Christian Church was started in Louisville, Kentucky. And it was my grandfather, Olin Hay, who also preached out here. He was an evangelist. And my uncle was the founding elder. So they started this mega church, and I was raised in the church.
Jonathan, I think I also read where you kind of saw, maybe this is a little bit of, of your fabric, if you will. You kind of saw the business side of religion and kind of saw that, it's not only about spreading the good word, but it's a big business.
It's a huge business. And to be honest, I was like, I'm a teenager, so I became like rebellious and defiant.
Right.
And listen to like rap music and hip hop music. And after church, everybody would get together and they would speak about like attendance and offering and the growth of the church. And I felt like it was very, I don't know, hypocritical. But then as I got older, I realized with the business and infrastructure and everything it takes for a growing church like that had to be important,
Well, but at when you're a kid, you're not wanting to hear that shit.
Exactly.
You're wanting to listen to music and fuck around and in Louisville.
Of course.
In Louisville is a good. I was born and raised in northern Indiana, so the Midwest is kind of a cool place to grow up. And you're growing. You don't want to hear about offerings and that type of the youth pastor bullshit. You want to listen to some rap music and some Biggie Smalls and some Eminem and some shit like that.
Yeah, metal and NWA and Guns N' Roses and Metallica, all that stuff. And then I got with my mentor. His name is Gary Meeks. He was the father of Travis Meeks, The Days of the New.
Yeah.
And that's how my career began.
Was the Rihanna single before the Days of the New or the Days of the New before the Rihanna single?
Rihanna was 2005. It was after that.
All right, so you start
So
your
Days of the News, 97, 98.
right, and you did well for them. That was like one of your very first gigs, so to speak.
Correct.
And did you do that out of Louisville?
Did out of Louisville.
How long did you stay in Louisville?
I stayed in Louisville until, so like after Days of the New like hit, was 97. You know, they had the big record, Touch Me on Stand, Shelf in the Room in downtown. And when they brought out the
Touch Peel Stand was huge. Absolutely huge.
Game changer, like everything.
Yeah.
And then I was out in New York. And
yeah, because you can't really be in the music scene in Louisville. Yeah, I mean, you just can't.
You can't.
No.
So I was at a show and I met this guy named Kevin Skinner who introduced me to John Houston, his partner, which was John Houston Entertainment, Whitney Houston management company. And I started working with them and I jumped ship, paying great money. Travis Meeks was going downhill, you know, like with his drug problems and stuff like that. That's been well documented.
Right.
So it was Whitney Houston who led me to Whitney Houston's company, John Houston Entertainment, that introduced me to the Rihanna project.
Now, what's your opinion of Whitney Houston and what really went down? And obviously, you know, you knew her father, you knew her management company, and that's where you worked with. And I've been told that you were actually fairly close to Whitney and knew a lot about her and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to talk shit about anybody, but you know, it seemed like Whitney's life went downhill after she hooked up with Bobby.
Right. Well, I think she didn't love the music industry, right? And she made enough money and she just wanted to be as normal as a person as she could be.
And now she came through the church too, did she? I mean, that's
absolutely.
Where she was discovered and out of Houston, I think.
No, New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
Yeah.
But so God, but as much as Whitney Houston didn't love the business, my God, old girl could fucking sing. Oh Jesus.
The best.
Oh,
the best, man.
I heard an inside Iggy, it could be you would know. But you know how everybody gives her credit, and this is not a diss on her at all. I'm a huge Whitney Houston fan. I really am. But you know, one of the greatest national anthems ever sang in the history of the Super Bowl was right here in Tampa, right during the golf storm gimmick, and she sang it. But I heard that it was actually vocal tracked.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually. Well, you know, shit. You're a fucking producer, and you know more about. I mean, I've been in radio 40 years and know a little bit about the business. But I should say that she sang, but she had fat vocal, like they had fattened up vocals piping,
right.
And she just kind of, you know, they just kind of mixed her in over the already pre-recorded deal. But so if you can hear breaths and you can hear hesitations and things like that, but it was somewhat voice tracked.
So, I mean, listen, I wouldn't be surprised when I got with her, and her career was like going downhill with with all the outside distractions and problems. Personal problems that she had.
And that was all Bobby. That was all Bobby related, though. I mean, Bobby was a fucking, God, he was just a wild man, It
was wild.
I mean, I remember the footage when she got a limo and kind of got him out of jail, and she was waiting for him. I mean, it's a good woman right there. It's a hell of a woman, but
absolutely.
But fuck, Bobby ran her rugged. He ran her ragged.
Yeah. For sure.
So then your next big jam, if you would be the Rihanna single that you worked.
That's correct. So I was introduced to the co-producer, who's a real asshole, man. His name is Veda Nobles. In Orlando, Florida is where we did it. And I was searching for my birth parents at the time because you know how Leesburg, Mount Dora.
Oh, yeah, all that. Yeah, it's all one big metro.
Orlando. It was like a good time for me to like really try to find my mother at the time. So I relocated to Orlando, Florida. And I had no idea that she would be who she would become. I knew it was something special when I heard Ponda Replay, but there wasn't much of a budget. She was an underdog. She just signed with Def Jam. So when that took off, it was game on with my career.
Right now, and again, you met Rihanna and got that gig through who?
Through her co-producer named Veda Nobles.
Right.
He produced that song.
Right, and you just you were at that point a record like a promoter,
Correct.
And
Correct.
now, were you the kind of guy, because like when I was growing up in top 40, I was a music director for years before I became a talk show guy, and we had like these independent record guys like Bill Skull from Tri-State Promotions and Bill McCluskey and all these guys. And were you kind of like that, where you would work the record on the radio station end of it, or were you more boots on the ground kind of guy?
Boots on the ground. And they had their own radio promotions. And once we were able to get some traction, then it started to resonate through radio.
And at that point, radio's king. Like, you get on Z100, you get on Kiss FM, you get on B96, you get on Chicago, New York, LA, Phoenix, Miami. It's over, because then the rest of the smaller markets just follow the bigger markets, and you instantaneously, even if you have a shitty record, have a hit.
Absolutely. Just like, going back to Days of the New, was a radio station in Boston called WAAF.
Yep, very familiar with them.
That changed your whole life. Like, that was added to that radio station. Because Travis, we were signed to Outpost and Geffen.
Yep.
And then that took off. And once it went on Boston radio, it the next thing you know, we're on tour with Metallica and stuff like that. From that one radio station changed everything.
I worked at 98 Rock in Tampa, and we broke Three Doors Down.
Nice.
We broke them. Brad and the boys were represented by a guy, and they couldn't get any airplay, and they did a show for us. And
right.
It didn't have any hits at that point. Did a show for us, and we added. I think, I don't know, forget whatever their very first one, and all the rock stations saw that we added it, and boom. Listen to this, Jonathan. In 1988, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan, working at this little top 40 radio station, and it was in July or August of 1988, and this guy named Johnny Wright from the New Kids on the Block.
Yes, Orlando guy.
Yeah, exactly, Orlando guy.
Yeah.
So he calls me up and says, "Hey, I was the night guy. I worked 7 to midnight, and here's this guy and Johnny. I think Johnny ended up not, if he didn't produce them, he managed them, didn't he? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, Right Productions.
Yeah.
And then he calls me up and said, "Hey, will you play this record?" It was "Please Don't Go, Girl," and
wow.
I played it, and it blew the phone lines up. All the little fucking chicks, all the little teeny boppers are just going crazy. And so he goes, "Hey, listen, we're going to be at this music store tomorrow," which would have been Saturday, "from noon to 3. Can you promote, on your show?" So I did. 15 people showed up. 15 for the New Kids on the Block, because nobody had played the record. The record wasn't on the radio anywhere in America except Grand Rapids for like 2 spins. And I went from Grand Rapids, and I ended up at B96 in Chicago. And about 2 years down the road, they were the biggest fucking, mega group ever. And, so I'd always go to their show, and they'd always say, "Oh my God, Bubba, can you believe that one time we were at this bullshit record place and there was 15 people that showed up and everything like that." So, I'm very familiar with the how music's promoted and
right.
and stuff like that. So you're in the Tampa Bay area now.
Correct.
Well, how do you navigate, how do you get here, and how long you been here?
So my oldest daughter, she was born here in Clearwater, Florida. And so I've always came back and forth, to see her. But in 2024, at the beginning of 2024, I moved to Port Richey, of all places.
Right.
And we got a townhouse together. And, it was great, being there. And then she ended up getting pregnant and having a child, which I would be a grandfather now. And so I moved down to Largo because I just didn't want to, be in the same house with a grandchild and her boyfriend and everything else, Now,
what about baby mama? Like, she's still in the picture?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, she has a great baby mother.
I got to know what you're in the news now by listening to or watching Channel 13. I wanted to play a little bit of that for the audience.
No problem.
This I think was last week here.
Correct.
And Sean Diddy Combs continues to grow, and tonight we're learning the controversy has ties back here at home. The John Doe in one civil suit has revealed himself as a Largo-based music producer and publicist.
So you are now suing, and also filed a criminal investigation on P. Diddy.
Correct.
What happened? Like,
And Biggie's son, C.J. Wallace, and his partner Willie Mack,
who probably runs the Biggie Smalls or Notorious B.I.G. estate.
Correct.
So what happened? I mean, this is from 2020.
So at the end of 2019, we had this big jazz record called Fall the Leader, reimagined as jazz with Eric B. and Rakim. So we took that album, we reimagined as jazz where there's no rap. And so instead of like all the raps with Rakim, we redid it with saxophone, did a total instrumental album, and it hit. It went #1 on jazz, and we were on the Billboard charts for 11 weeks with that. So that was towards the end of 2019, and everybody was suggesting we need to do something else, another hip hop classic, reimagine it as something else. So naturally they were like, we should do Biggie. And I'm like, no, that's too predictable. Everybody does Biggie or fucking Tupac, But anyways, I was with this chick, this stripper, and she like finessed me. And so
strippers, they'll get you every time, won't they?
Every time, bro.
Fucking time, man.
Yeah.
Some of my worst decisions have been made with strippers too, buddy. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, I mean, and that went on. That was 2 years of bad decisions.
Right.
I was
and tens of thousands of dollars later.
Exactly. Can I have an allowance?
Yeah. So can I have allowance, Daddy? Can I have come on, I mean, what's going on here? I need $2,000 a week, Daddy. Come on.
Exactly. but I thought you loved me and we lived together. Yeah. Why am I still paying you an allowance?
Right. I thought that shit ended when you moved in, right?
Right.
So the stripper talked you into doing the Biggie Small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably reach out to them.
Correct.
And say, hey, here's what we did with Rakim, and here, and here's my success, and here's the way it sounds, and here's how I put it together, and I'd like to do some shit with y'all.
It was actually a journalist that had covered me for the story for Eric B. Rakim, and he was working with C.J. Wallace and Willie Mack, and he pitched them the idea. I didn't even know this was happening, and let them know, kind of get their opinions of this is the next project that I was doing. And then they ended up reaching out to me, wanted to hear the album, wanted to hear what we were doing. We did it in Brooklyn, and they loved it, and they wanted to meet. This is towards the end of 2019. So we go out there in February, March of 2020 to meet with the Notorious Big Estate. So we go out there, and we rent an Airbnb and had a recording studio in this like Airbnb in LA.
Isn't it amazing now? Back in the day when you actually had to go to a recording studio and pay $1,500 an hour and have now even in what you produced then, shit, you can bring your own stuff, bring some soundproofing, put a couple mattresses against and have a full ready to go.
And not even that, because we didn't have any vocals. It was all instrumental music. Right. So it's just like, it's like bringing your laptop. That was your studio. We did the studio. We recorded the album in the Williamsburg Hotel. So it was, New York is a big house scene and techno. It was a house and techno project. So we go out there, we meet them, and I was ecstatic because it's like, okay, we just said Eric B. and Rakim. Eric B. and Rakim got involved with our project. So I was like, now it's like happening again where we have the Notorious B.I.G. doing the estate supporting the project.
Just a natural progression to go from Eric B. Rakim to now I got Biggie Smalls, and then you're thinking to yourself, what the fuck's, I mean, when I nail this, what's going to happen? I mean, I'm going to have one hell of a body of work. I'm going to have people knocking my door down wanting me to do this shit.
I'm going to be able to continue to pay my stripper.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to pay
our
my
allowance.
Stripper and my baby mama fucking shit drama.
All of it. Yeah. So they had me meet at this place on Fowler Street. It's this warehouse. This is my first time meeting them in person.
And when you say them, is that the Wallace people and P. Diddy?
No, I had no idea that P. Diddy was going to show up and be there. It was just for the Wallace. So we're ecstatic. We're like, tripping, psychedelics,
Yeah.
and it was a good time. It was blown away. And in that room, there was a room there. It was like a production house. So they had like the green screen. We're listening to the music. There was this other room that was housing like all of the Notorious B.I.G.'s clothes that he wore when he was alive. So that was crazy because, here we are doing a Biggie project, and now here I am, like working. Now here I am, like being able to like see his clothes, touch his clothes when he was alive. It was total surreal, right? So, um, that's when the shit got weird. Is and they told me I could wear one of the clothes for the photo shoot, one of his jerseys,
Yeah,
which I did.
I saw some pictures that you had some stuff
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
yeah. So they let me put on his clothes, right? His jersey, sorry, I should say. And they're like I said, I'm sorry, they're being donated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right.
So he had racks of all these different clothes. So I'm going through everything, like just really like tripping out of this moment to be able to see and touch his clothes that he wore. But um when I'm in in that room, like picking the shirt out, Sarah, she's doing hair and makeup uh, in the other room, right? Because we're getting ready for this photo shoot, and that's when Puffy comes into the room while I'm picking out the clothes, and he was almost like a stylist, like, nah, I wouldn't wear that. Nah, that's one we're giving to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because Biggie was inducted later that year in
Right.
November. November. So
You're trying on clothes and just whatever, and next thing you know, P Diddy walks in, which you didn't even
Pete,
you'd had no idea he was even going to be there,
we had no idea that he was going to be there.
and he now is kind of taking the role of telling you what you should or shouldn't wear, what's going to the Hall of Fame, what's not, but nothing probably at that point that anything to freak you out at that point.
Correct. And at that point, Diddy wasn't who he is now. He was kind of, he was obviously legendary from what he had done, but he was past his prime
Right.
at that point. It was cool, right, that he was there, but it wasn't like the Diddy as we know as being like this, crazy, maniac, like freak that he's been. He was just an artist that producer that hasn't had a hit in, 15, 20 years. So he's taking clothes too because they're giving them to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So he's picking different outfits and, communicating with CJ Wallace. So while that moment happens, CJ leaves and Diddy is in there with me and the doors close, which they kept opening and close the doors anyways because all Biggie stuff was there and there was a bunch of like staff of
Sure.
people filming and everything else. And so I'm still like going through all these racks of clothes, and next thing you know, I thought that he was watching porn. I didn't know if he had chicks on there. That's the OnlyFans movement. I could just hear on the phone that something along those lines was happening, but I wasn't sure.
So
And then
he was on the phone.
correct,
And you're
he was
just
on.
you're just hearing bits and pieces of what he's talking about, and you think you pick up like OnlyFans, and he's
I
maybe
was
talking.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, but you could hear all the sex noises and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
right. Okay.
Some porn. But he wasn't on the phone. He was looking at the phone,
Okay.
right? And so he had clothes next to him that he was giving to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that he was going to pitch to CJ because they were the ones that choose the clothes that were given. And next thing you know, he's like jerking off, dude, under like a Biggie shirt. And at that moment, I'm like, what? I didn't know, like, is this guy joking? Is this serious? So I'm just still like not really paying attention, looking at the clothes, thinking somebody's gonna come in at any time. This shit is fucking weird as shit.
And save you. Now, if for lack of a better, not save you physically, but kind of just bust the moment up so that it's not so fucking awkward that you got P Diddy jerking off while you're looking at Biggie Smalls' clothes.
Right. Yeah. Is this guy like, being
Is he jerking off to me, or is he jerking off to the porn? Like, I mean, right? A lot of things are going through your head.
right. And I'm not sitting there like staring at watching what he's doing, but I'm just like, holy shit. Still looking at the clothes, not, trying to mind my own business. Like, this shit is fucking weird, and he's going to town, dude. And then he was like, he asked me to fucking finish him off, and he did his business. I didn't, obviously. I was probably 10 feet away, right? And he fucking, nuts in the Biggie Small shirts, and
Jeez.
it's like,
Now, did you go out and tell anybody, or were you like,
bro,
if I raise too much shit, I'm going to lose the gig? Like, I mean, there's probably a lot of things going through your head. Do I keep it to myself? And you've remained, kind of silent until now because you probably, for whatever reason, but you feel now that is there any other besides that? Is there any other stuff?
there is, but because that moment led to all kinds of like other that crazy shit from that moment. But no, I was stunned. He says, rest in peace, Biggie, and leaves. Right, walks out the room. I don't know what to think. If I could go back, hindsight, I should have left at the very moment. But I'm just meeting like the Biggie Smalls team. They have a whole production
Right,
crew
right. You got, I mean,
outside.
you got the whole fucking shooting match there. You don't want to blow this deal up.
Right. I'm just like, what? I didn't know what to do. I didn't say anything. He leaves with the clothes. I ended up telling Sarah was the stripper's name. We go to Carl Cox rave like 2 days afterwards, and we're doing psychedelics, and the
Just live,
stripper chick.
just living the
Yeah,
LA fucking stripper lifestyle.
yeah,
You know,
living the stripper lifestyle, and I tell her
ecstasy, mushrooms, blow. You know
exactly.
how it goes.
Exactly. And then I tell her what happened, and she stayed up all night, and she like cried, and we don't need to say anything yet. So we continue to work on the project. The pandemic happens, it goes in full swing, and I wanted to say something, but I didn't, because first of all, he completely disrespected, Biggie's clothes. I'm trying to
Yeah.
find out when to say something. And we were involved, we were there for Biggie Smalls. So I just kept it, we just kept it moving. So the song comes out, we hit like Rolling Stone and Spin Magazine, and it's like buzzing really hardcore. And after the song came out, and we're planning on going back to LA that January, right? We're working on the project the whole time, still through COVID. And we go to Los Angeles, and his dad is inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We were working in Dallas, didn't say anything. I was going to wait to tell him until after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I didn't want to, bomb on his excited of his father being inducted, his excitement. So in January, when we're in LA, I finally tell CJ Wallace, and he didn't know how to process it. He left. We were in person. I told him I want to talk to him, and we had gotten really close, CJ and I. I've been through a lot of trauma. He didn't know his dad, Biggie, who died when he was 6 months old. I didn't know my birth parents, right? Like, I mean, I did, but I didn't learn till later
Right.
on. So, we were like bonding through trauma. We got close enough where I felt like I could tell him. And so then once I told him, everything changed. He says, "Man, I got to process this." He left. We were in person, and he's that night or the next night, Willie Mack, his partner, called and said the project is over. It's done. Um, you can't. I got like a cease and desist. That I can't talk about the project and everything else. And immediately, to be honest, I regretted. I was like, man, why did I even say anything? Because I brought a bunch of people from Dallas who are all working on the project. So I had other producers, other musicians. We're filming a documentary on the making of the Biggie House album. And I had everybody in Los Angeles, and I felt stupid.
And you blew it all up just by, telling the truth.
Yeah,
Sound like some shit, right?
yeah. I thought that, first of all, I thought that he would be like, I didn't know how he would respond, but I didn't think it was that.
Right.
I thought that, that maybe he was like, this guy's a fucking weirdo, so sorry, wouldn't be around. Plus, I didn't really want to be around Diddy. I wanted to let him know
Right.
what was happening. So I didn't hear from them at all. And my team is already out there, and we start working like on another project because I was like, I'm working out the issues, with the estate. And like I said, 2 or 3 weeks later, they picked me up. They called and said we want to get together.
The Chris Wallace people.
Yeah, the Chris Wallace people, and that we were going to meet up and we were going to do an interview with Revolt TV.
Okay.
And so at that time, Puffy was the owner of Revolt. But even doing an interview for Revolt because we had worked with them doesn't mean that we're going to work with, how it is
Yeah.
in music promotions. Once again, wasn't expecting to see Diddy. But once they picked me up, and I've relived this moment for years.
Now this is like 2 years removed from it happening.
A year.
A year.
1 year. 1 year exactly. This
Right.
is so 2020 is when the incident happened in March at the warehouse. This is now 2021 after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So they picked me up, and I thought for sure, like, how when you have like a breakup to make up, the band gets back together.
Yeah.
I thought we'd be like galvanized and like follow through with the project. We're doing an interview. But as we're in the car and they're driving me to this location, looking back, I can see now it was weird because usually when you're dealing with the Notorious Big Estate, everything, you had to go through every interview. You had talking points. I was asking, what's going to be, what single are we promoting? Because we had 17 songs done. What's the next one? I was asking all these questions for this interview with Revolt, and they really weren't answering. They're like, we're just going to kind of go with the flow, man. And that's a red flag now. Then I wasn't thinking anything about it. I was just excited that we're back together. So then they take me to this house, which I thought was the Candy Pin's house, but now since CJ Wallace has been served, and I saw his address and I looked up his address where he lived looks so much like the Candy Pin's house with the garage and everything else. So we had done this interview in November at the Candy Pin's house, but CJ was there in Los Angeles. I'm on FaceTime with this team. So, and there was a Revolt affiliated like place where they did a lot of Revolt stuff. I didn't realize until afterwards that he took me to CJ Wallace's house. And that's a lot of information that's not out, right? So once I saw where he was served, I was like, oh my God, that's the same white house with the same white windows, and then you could walk through the house. I'm like, that's the house that we were at. So I go in and immediately shit gets completely weird. That's named in the lawsuit and the police report.
So when you're at the Revolt house, what you think the house that you think you're going to do a Revolt interview in,
Correct.
More sexual shit goes down.
Yeah, the worst thing that I've ever been through in my life.
Now, was that involving P. Diddy?
It was, yes, of course, and it was because I told CJ what Diddy had done.
At that point, CJ had told Diddy that you had complained that he jerked off in front of you. And then you didn't think that'd be a big deal, which I wouldn't either. He then shows his alliance is really to P. Diddy. So they set you up, so to speak, to take you to a house in Los Angeles, and you think that you're doing, an interview for Revolt TV about various projects, and that's when shit got the worst.
That's when that's when it got awful, and that's the thing where I've been pressing the criminal investigation so hardcore. Is I have an amazing law firm for the civil side, but we've been talking about the criminal side for forever. So
yeah, I think the Largo Police Department's been working with the LAPD.
That's correct.
I read in which has now been referred to the LA County District's Attorney's Office.
That's correct.
I'm sure it's public knowledge if I was to dig deep enough into the complaint as to what happened in that house. Can you talk about that at all? Or do you feel, is it that fucked up?
It's that fucked up. It was the worst violation as possible. It was violent. A lot of people
I mean, were they
You know,
were they holding you down?
yeah, hmm
And you're a big dude. Like you're a big. I mean, you're not a small little dude. You know,
right,
you're a big guy. You know, so
right.
in order to be able to rape you or to do something against your will, I don't know if that's the right word or not, but I would assume that if they did
That's the right word.
that is the right word. And it's a shocking word when I'm talking to another man, the size of me, to know that they had the power to rape you is pretty fucking powerful.
It was C.J. Wallace, Willie Mack, Diddy, C.J. Wallace's brother named Jihad, Faith Evans' other kid, and then the two guys that were Biggie. I was complete. The two other guys that were
So it
Diddy.
was like 8-on-1.
Correct.
So you get in the house. Now, at what point do you know, oh shit? I mean, because you got some pretty good intuition. You've been around a little bit.
Immediately.
So you get in there and you see shit. You're like, I know this is not good.
This is a setup, right? And a lot of people, some people, I've gotten overwhelming support, but some people are like, I wouldn't let my manhood be violated like that.
Well,
I would have.
Listen, those are motherfuckers that don't have 8 or 9 motherfuckers with guns surrounding you, and you can listen. You and I can fight 3-4 dudes all we want, but there comes a point where if 7 lions can take down an elephant. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So
And I was shocked, and it was, I couldn't believe what was happening.
now,
So there's all that as well.
was it more than P. Diddy that participated?
No, but they were all there. Nobody did anything. It was him that was doing the violation stuff. But C.J. Wallace and Willie, they're all in the same house.
Were
In the same.
were you held at gunpoint?
I didn't know if there was a gun, but I assumed there was a gun because part of my face was like covered, and my head is so big, right?
Hold on. You do got a big ass head.
Right.
You got a big ass head, Jonathan. You do got a big head.
Bro, they were like trying to cover, like my face was like, I felt like a COVID mask. Like one of those weird COVID masks with like the goggles and the weird shit, looked like some alien
like
stuff.
A gas mask kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. They couldn't get over my face. But now I've learned from other people that it could have been like a BDSM type mask shit. I don't know. Like,
now, how long
in that moment,
how long did the raping, and I'm going to call it that because I mean that's what it was. I mean you got raped.
Absolutely.
You got raped by P. Diddy in Los Angeles at a house that you thought you were going to do a television interview. Now, what, not that you can necessarily get into P. Diddy's fucked up head, but like, what would be his advantage? Why would he do, like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, was he trying to show dominance on you? Was he trying?
That's exactly what it is. I didn't realize that at the time what it was. You can't process it. But afterwards, like going through therapy and going through everything that I've been through, something like that isn't about gratification or isn't about attraction. It's about dominance. It's about anger. Because he was so angry, bro. He was, the whole thing was anger.
Jonathan, I can't even wrap my head around being held down and raped by a man. And the man is just straight anger, just fucking raging while he's raping you. I mean, I'd be crying like a little bitch. I mean, how long did it last?
Too long. But then after it happened, CJ and Willie, they dropped me off back at the hotel, and I went straight back to Dallas, and I was just traumatized. And I tried to call the police. I contacted the estate. All of them, like Faith, Valletta, that's Biggie's mother, Tiana, his sister, anybody who was listening, to tell them, what had happened. The police didn't do anything at that time. He's Diddy,
He's untouchable at that point.
He's untouchable.
Thank God for Cassie, and thank God that tape leaked, and
exactly.
Because I don't know that he would have ever been held accountable for the things that he's done to everybody, including you, had people not seen that animalistic rage side of him when he fucking manhandled, when he beat the shit out of Cassie in the hotel room. Thank God that it happened, but thank God that it got leaked, because that really kind of pulled the curtain back on how much of a sick fuck he is.
Absolutely. And like up until that point, I was trying to say stuff. I tried to get Cassie's lawyer, the Wigder law firm, before they even represented Cassie, because I went from Dallas to New York because the project was over. All these people were excited about it. I was embarrassed. I just wanted to get away. So I went to New York with my girlfriend that I'm with now, my fiance. And I started contacting law firms. And Wigdor got back to me. I didn't know that they were Cassie's lawyer. This is like a year before the lawsuit came out. But they wanted to meet. We did like the intake process. But then I just couldn't follow through. He had got like the key to the city. It was just it was just so weird.
But I bet it would have made it. I wish Jonathan, you would have felt had the strength to stick with them early on, because this could have been added to this could have been, with what he just went through and basically got off on. This could have been something that would have been another charge that he probably. I mean, you got you got the victim right here in you that could have taken the stand and walked the jury through what you just walked me through, which is very compelling. And it might have been a different outcome on how many years he got.
There was that, but the lawsuit had started before. It started at the end of last year, like the process, the vetting out process, and everything else. I just don't think the feds in New York, they had their case that they wanted to stick by.
Right.
They had guns that were scratched off and evidence defaced. Like that's 10 years at least. So we don't really know what happened.
P. Diddy, he's been served your lawsuit, correct?
He's been served, and he knows all about it. The lawyers have communicated and stuff like that.
Now, what are they? Obviously, there's a civil side of it, but there's also a criminal side that he could very well. Now, would it be tried in L.A.? Because that's where
absolutely, it happened in Los Angeles, so this would happen in L.A.
So, is there a possibility, Jonathan, that they could say, "Okay, P. Diddy, we're loading you up and taking you to L.A. because you got another lawsuit. I mean, you got another criminal, indictment that's happening of you, raping a man, Jonathan Hay. That could very well be what's the next chapter, could it not? And
it is.
And how many Jonathan Hays do you think are out there, Jonathan?
That's what I'm saying. I think there's so many. There's so many civil cases. There's so much stuff that I've heard, about Diddy. I think it's countless, man. He's a real piece of shit.
Now, there couldn't be any incidents after that one, was there? I mean, because you were probably so fucked up that you're like probably afraid to leave your house. I mean,
absolutely, it was the most traumatizing situation that I've ever been through. But now it was the Tampa Bay Times writer who did the story who told me, as he's contacting the LA police, that said it was given to the district attorney.
That is so great. Now, have they kept in touch? Like, the Tampa Bay Times thing just came out not too long ago, right?
Last week, a week and a half ago.
Was that Chris Spada?
It's Chris Spada.
He is such a good dude. He has done me solids. I mean, and some of the fucking things I've gotten involved with, he's always been fair. Even when I was on the wrong side, even when I was, not necessarily doing the right thing, he's always been fair. And to his credit, man, he's the one that blew this thing wide open.
Bro, I'm so appreciative of him. He blew it wide open, and then it goes crazy. And he told me when I was like, wait a minute, because he's the one who told me, Chris, that the district attorney has it. And I was like excited. And he was like, I was like, that's a great thing, because I know how the legal process works. As you know, it goes to detectives, and then it goes to district attorney, and then they're the ones who are able to press charges.
I've actually had things that the police department, when people have fucked me over, the police department, they're all on board. They're like, oh my God, we got a slam dunk here. And because I'm Bubba the Love Sponge and kind of the bad boy around here, and the state attorney is like, nah. It's Bubba. Fuck Bubba. And so realistically, you can have the cops behind you all you want. It's the district attorney that you got, and it sounds like you are on your way to potentially getting their endorsement or their filing.
That's why I'm trying to make as much noise as possible on this stuff, because the more noise, the more eyes on it, the more pressure to get criminal justice.
What's going to be their defense? Like, if you were to reverse engineer this, and this isn't disrespectful to you, Jonathan, I'm just trying to think.
Of course.
He's a sick fucker. He's going to have an excuse or some type of alibi or something like that. Do you have enough credible witnesses or information to be able to refute his, he's going to lie,
Absolutely, especially on the civil side. That's why I've been pressing so hard on the criminal side, because they're
if you get
able to get forensics.
Oh, if you get the criminal done, if you get the criminal to go through, they've done the most of your civil work for you.
There's that too, because Diddy just doesn't show up at the place by himself to violate me like he did. There's conversations, there's text messages, there's WhatsApp, and they can still get the digital forensics.
Yeah.
A few years later.
He just doesn't show up and rape you.
No.
This has to be with, like you said, 7-8 people involved in the home. There's communications. Even though they're going to say they didn't talk about it and it didn't really happen, this had to be planned.
Before and after.
Right. And especially after. Like, listen, that shit didn't happen. Fuck that guy. All everything that they may or may not have said will certainly be, on probably one of his many devices that they already have.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And CJ Wallace and Willie and the other people. And even when I went back and started contacting the state, blowing the whistle as loud as I could, there's communication between somebody still that's going on. So there's all kinds of forensic evidence out there.
When it's and again, Jonathan, I apologize for having to be graphic. And I apologize for what you went through. But when the act is happening, when he's raping you, is he like yelling at you, or is he?
He's angry.
Just fuck you, you little bitch.
Exactly.
Like nobody fucks with me. Like just acting like he's. I mean, is it that type of rhetoric?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are the other dudes watching, or just look out?
It's hard to tell what was going on with them, but obviously everybody's there and knows what's going on. They can hear him screaming and
now when they
see it happening.
Which two drove you back to your hotel?
CJ and Willie.
And I hope you're doing something with them. They're the main. They're co-conspirators, aren't they?
They're co-conspirators 100%.
Wow.
Because they're the one who drove me there. None of this happens with Diddy until I get involved with the Notorious B.I.G. estate.
Right. Nothing of this happens until you tell Chris Wallace that he jacked off on his dad's
100%.
His dad's clothing. Had you keep that to yourself, which it's your right to tell somebody because it's not cool. Had you kept your mouth shut, which I'm not recommending that you do, but none of this would have happened.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
What type of charges have they filed? Do you know, like, what are they calling it rape? Are they calling it sexual, sexual battery?
It would definitely be a sexual assault.
So before that, you had dealings with Jay-Z and Rihanna. Yeah,
that's correct.
I think you had some beef with Drake.
I mean, yes and no. I was involved in his project that he had the baby mama drama with Sophie, and I was brought in to help do crisis management with that situation. And that, Drake at that time is massive. He still is, right? But that's in 2017 when Scorpion is about to drop. And there wasn't a beef. He was just upset that he felt that I was siding with his baby mama. I don't know if he thought more was happening or what.
Jonathan, who would, obviously there was like Bill Cosby, and then there was like, R. Kelly, and then obviously P. Diddy, and then you have your shit with P. Diddy that people don't even really know about, but will be coming out. I'm assuming relatively soon. I mean, this is such unbelievable allegations and almost more egregious, as egregious, if not more egregious than anything that he faced, federally. Like, this is really bad shit. This could be worse than what he faced in New York if they haul him back to L.A. and, start going down your trail. But
absolutely.
Who do you think? I remember, was it? Oh God, it's the Cat Williams. Cat Williams was on Club Shay Shay, and Cat Williams was trying to tell Club Shay Shay, man, a lot of these fucking rappers, a lot of these black actors, a lot of these entertainers, there's some fucking really, really sick fucks, and it's all gonna come out. If you were to predict who the next one would be, who's it gonna be? Is it a Jay-Z? Is it? You think? Yeah, I was getting ready to say, is it a Jay-Z?
Jay-Z for sure.
And
because Jay-Z was business partners with R. Kelly. They did 2 albums together.
Yeah.
Right. And they toured together. Jay-Z was signed to Harvey Weinstein, had an exclusive deal with them. People can search it. And then Jay-Z was, connected his whole entire career to Puff Daddy. So Jay-Z has been business partners with 3 people who are in prison for sex crimes.
And what do you know that maybe the average person doesn't know? I mean, there's always been rumors that he trafficked Rihanna. I think I read that or heard that. What will come down when Jay-Z gets it? What's he gonna get?
I mean, when you're partners with Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and P. Diddy, there's no telling.
But is he? But he could be, Jonathan. He could be the dude. And I don't advocate this. I don't condone it. But he could be the dude that's just too big to fucking take that rap. He could be. I mean, you're working with the NFL. I mean, is Jay-Z gettable? I don't know.
Well, you got to look at what Nicki Minaj is doing. Nicki Minaj is exposing Jay-Z and Rock Nation, and she's getting support from the White House, right? Like, people are hearing her. So, however big Jay-Z is, he's not bigger. He's not bigger than President Trump.
Right.
So Nicki Minaj is like a whistleblower that is,
that's what it would take. It would
doing
take,
damage.
It would
take
Nicki
Minaj.
Yes, it would take somebody of that largeness and somebody in the business that knows the business, that has nothing to gain, that doesn't need the money, that doesn't need the fame, but's trying to do the right thing. Like Nicki Minaj, it would take somebody of that credibility, because she doesn't need the money, she doesn't need the fame, she doesn't need the bullshit,
exactly.
She doesn't need the bullshit, but she sees the inappropriate shit that Jay-Z's done, and she could be the person that actually brings the hammer on him.
And she's getting a lot of traction. Just a few months ago, Trump was saying, prosecute Beyonce. Right? So she's bringing all this attention. I think Jay-Z and Beyonce are totally freaking out to watch Nicki Minaj. They're not looking at her as crazy. She's getting traction from the White House and the powerful Republicans.
How about the Kardashians?
I just think I don't think they're like, I don't know. I don't think they're evil like the Jay-Z's and P. Diddy's of this world.
How about Kanye? Is he just fucking whacked out?
It seems like he comes out as bipolar, right? I have no idea.
Now, as big as P. Diddy's was, and could potentially be even more with your stuff, can you imagine if Jay-Z is involved in anything like what P. Diddy was doing? How that's P. Diddy times 50. With regards to how big of a star, how powerful, if it comes down that Jay-Z, and I think the stuff with Jay-Z is what, like sex trafficking, that's what Nicki Minaj has been saying, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, with Rock Nation, absolutely. And Jay-Z, and she knows where all the bodies are buried. She would. So I know that he's freaking out, especially what he's seen happen with Diddy, and like you mentioned the Rihanna Jay-Z thing. Some people have brought that up of what happened from this rumor that I put out that they were in a relationship when she was 17, and that all comes from this book called Becoming Beyonce that was dropped in 2015. It was like a New York Times bestseller, it said all this stuff that wasn't true. I was working with Tidal and Rock Nation in 2015. I had a fall on the sword about this Become a Beyonce book. And it's just not like people have said, well, if he was lying in 2005 about the Jay-Z and Rihanna stuff, why isn't he lying now? First of all, that's 20 years ago. And it's not me by myself that's coming up with this lie. It wasn't even a lie. It was a marketing plan that was executed with Def Jam, with the co-producers and everything else. They were just trying to stir up some attention and some gossip. But I'm the one that's falling on the sword for that.
Now, didn't Jay-Z supposedly meet Beyonce when she was 16?
Yes, and Foxy Brown and everybody else.
And Aliyah, right?
Aaliyah, yeah.
Aliyah. All of those people, I think all of those have been romantically linked to Jay-Z.
Absolutely.
And remember the lyrics implying who sang it? It was it not Nas
in the battle, yeah.
That said that I think there was lyrics that said Jay-Z and R. Kelly messed around with underage girls. There were actually lyrics on one of the rapper songs on that, wasn't there?
Yeah, people have been saying that for a while, for decades, right? But he's been more smoother and not out in the open like Diddy with this stuff.
Yeah, he's far more calculated.
Far more calculated, far more intelligent.
Yeah. Now, what about, I know this is a rumor that people had you tied to Adele for a little bit.
That was crazy.
I mean, that's not a bad rap though, bro. I mean, especially now she's looking good. I mean, she was a little bigger girl. But still, she's fucking Adele. How many she sold? 200 million records? Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that was nuts. That came out in like the Mirror.
I remember reading that about you, that you had somehow messed around with Adele.
Yeah, she just happened to be in the studio when we're doing Follow the Leader. That project that we hit *1 with Jazz with Eric B. and Rakim. That just opened the door to all this craziness,
I think you said on one podcast that it was your opinion, and you didn't have any evidence that DJ Khaled and Jay-Z were bisexual.
Correct.
Just from your hanging out and just the stuff that you know.
Yeah, they were. The DJ Khaled is flaming as he was bisexual as they come, bro.
And he's stayed away from all this nonsense as far as allegations and getting himself in trouble.
But he was so close to Diddy. He signed to Rock Nation. It's all part of that same perverted mafia.
It's like they've seen, and I've been in radio and seen a lot of really fucked up stuff, and my sexual compass is probably way different than just the average, Bill and Janet that have been married 20 years and have 2 kids and live in fucking Carrollwood. And you as well, you've been in the business and seen, so you have to raise the bar sometimes on the freakiness, but these guys are like levels that you and I can't even comprehend. So the things that they've been handled and they've been coddled and they've been, untouchable for so long, it creates such a sycophant, such a sick atmosphere to live in. Jay-Z, P. Diddy, R. Kelly, they all got to take it to the next level because they've seen. So, back in the day, I used to take my boys to the dollhouse and they'd see 2 girls kissing. They'd be like, oh my God, because they were from Indiana. They never seen shit like that. Be like, oh my God, there's 2 girls. I'm like, that's a Tuesday for me, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
So these entertainers that are on the level of, like, you and I can't even comprehend the level of Jay-Z. Like, fuck. We couldn't be Jay-Z's we couldn't be Jay-Z's garbage men. And so when you're that calloused to life and you've been coddled so much, it takes so much for you to get turned on and freak, and that's where all this comes from, is all the money and the fame. You just got to keep taking it up a notch and taking it up a notch to the point where it becomes illegal or really, really, really fucked up.
Absolutely. And they have infrastructures in place that then I don't even know if they're well aware of the infrastructure that they have in place because they got to get the girls out. They got to bring, they got to book the rooms. They got to book these places. They got to fly them out.
They literally probably have teams of not crisis controls, but of freak bookers that have to fly people in, get them hotel rooms, get them a per diem, get them fucking, the right information to be when they need to be where, who you're fucking, who like, I mean, there has to be. And like you said, with your case, where you probably will prevail is all of the
Forensic.
all the forensic communications. They just, nobody on your case, they're all going to say nothing happened at that house. We didn't say shit. We didn't see shit. They're going to say that. But the forensic
Absolutely.
the forensic texts, the forensic correspondence, hey, I got him in the car. We're headed over there. Okay, we're ready. All that shit is what's going to cook them. And I think that they already have that stuff from the first trial.
Absolutely. No question. That's why I'm pushing, because now that we got some traction from like the lawsuit, I came out as a John Doe. I'm like on it. Like, that's why, it's such an honor to speak to you, because I'm a fan for,
Well, thank you, John.
decades. And I know how loud that, you can ring the bell and blow the whistle. The more eyes we get on it, the better it helps for justice.
I got to get you on this guy from Tampa. He is like he's got nearly 1 million followers on YouTube. His name's Matt Cox. And I gotta get you his information. He's got to do an interview with you, because multiply my loudness times 50. This motherfucker is he is connected. He did like 15 years in federal prison for stealing people's identity, and then
Wow.
and then he got out and completely turned his life around. And now he's got one of the hottest true crime and scandalous podcasts in America. And man, he will absolutely love your story. I'll have my guy get your information to him, because he oh my God, he would love this story.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
He would love this story. Listen, Jonathan, I got to tell you, one, you're local, so if you ever want to come to the studio, we'd love to have you. And two, I'm going to chop this up and get as much traction as I can to get the word out. What can people do, Jonathan? Like, is there anything people can do? I know you're not necessarily needing people's help, but is there things that people can do to get this awareness out? Because maybe putting pressure on the Los Angeles County District Attorney, but you don't want to overstep and put too much pressure. You want it to organically, kind of get there. What would you suggest, or people do to try to help your cause?
Just, keep talking about it, and, keeping it, because they can, a lot of times with detectives, especially in Los Angeles, and district attorneys, think about how many criminals they're dealing with, to just stay in their face. That's the thing, is stay in their face, keep investigating this. They have to put resources, but it shouldn't be hard for the fact what you said. They already have all his phones.
Yeah.
And everything else, and they can get CJ Wallace and Willie Mack's phones, and they can get the forensic evidence that is needed to really bring this home.
And what state attorneys and district attorneys love more than anything is that a lot of the work's already been done. The legwork, the feds put in, an ungodly amount of resources, and the feds will cooperate. Listen, you don't think the feds, when LA County calls them up and say, hey guys, we got, I know you guys kind of swung and miss a little bit on the P. Diddy shit, because they kind of did. They didn't really get him on the bad shit.
Right.
But boy, do we got something pretty interesting in here from a legitimate person that's not batshit crazy, that's not a criminal, that's just a music producer that's in the business, that
Right.
That got physically held down and raped by P. Diddy. They'll be like, we will gladly send you everything we got. Let us have, because that's another shot at them.
Right. And LA is different than New York. So
Yeah.
LA is very competitive with New York, as you know. So I want LA to jump all over and show New York how it should have been done.
Well,
You know?
Weinstein got charged in both cities.
Exactly.
New York and L.A. A lot of times, there's history of those two cities working together because that's where the entertainment business is based out of. So
Exactly.
there's other cases where a guy got tried in New York and L.A.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I'm gonna make sure that Matt Cox be looking for that name, okay, Jonathan?
Okay.
Matt Cox, he's the man, and he will get. I mean, I'm going to get your story out. As I love your. Well, I don't love your story for you, but I love the fact that you're being able to tell your story, and
Right.
And will you please keep us posted on any
Absolutely.
any updates you get? Like L.A. County reaches out to you and said we're moving forward, or any update at all, and anything that you need to get the word out on, Jonathan. Consider us friend, not foe, my friend.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
And hey, I can't even imagine, the therapy and what you went through as a dude, because I'm a dude and we're both bigger dudes. We're not feminine. We're just regular dudes, and I can't even wrap my brain around having to endure as a man what you had to go through. I mean, talk about just fucking you up in the head, right?
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, I dealt with suicidal thoughts and I was there.
Don't do that, my friend.
I'm not there.
You got
no.
you got a grandbaby, and you got a lot of people that love you, and more importantly, you got, I think, a case that needs to be heard. And I think you'll get. I really think you're going to get justice. You'll be the last.
I do too.
I do too. I think you'll get justice.
Me too.
And they need you to wipe the egg off their face. They fucked up the first one, but they didn't have anything this strong. This is strong.
Right.
This is strong.
Yeah.
This is strong.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, hey, my friends. I'll be handing him off to Matt Cox. So be looking for him on Matt Cox's stuff as well. And Jonathan, please keep in touch with me, okay?
I will. Thank you so much. It's an honor.
Thank you, John, as well. Thank you.